Hello everyone, and welcome to the Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Voris. The Obama Dog and Pony Show rolled into Metro Detroit this week, and RealCatholicTV.com cameras were there to capture the slick packaging. It wasn't Obama himself, it was Doug Kmiec, chief Catholic apologist for chief pro-abortionist Barack Obama, and he held center stage at a university forum sponsored in part by Catholics in Alliance for the Common Good. Love that name. It sort of masks what they really do. They're a group of more Catholic apologists for Barack Obama's radical abortion policies. Now, here's a brief summary of events to get you up to date if you haven't been following the story. Doug Kmiec is a respected constitutional law professor at Pepperdine University in California. He's been a prominent pro-life Catholic for many years. A while back, he sent shockwaves through the pro-life world by openly pledging for Obama after he left Mitt Romney's campaign. His turncoat action has brought the ire of many Catholics, including Denver Archbishop Charles Chaput, who just last week openly repudiated Kmiec by name, saying he was doing a disservice to the church by campaigning for Obama. Kmiec is now on a dual tour, promoting Obama and himself. You know, he's written a book, and he reminds you that he's written a book quite often. So early this week, he was at Oakland University in a Detroit suburb at a forum to answer questions about his support of the leading abortion rights supporter in the U.S. Senate. He said in short that trying to change the law, namely Roe v. Wade, is the wrong approach. What needs to happen is to reduce poverty, and then poor women won't be as quick to get abortions. Nice try, Doug. For a constitutional law professor, you sure don't argue very well. First, why can't you do both? Fight the law in the courts and state legislatures and try to reduce poverty all at the same time. Second, how long is it going to take to reduce poverty to such a degree that there won't be any more poor women who feel like the need to get an abortion? Third, what if a woman wants to get an abortion anyway, whether she's rich or poor? Which leads to point 4. Poverty is not the only reason women get abortions, Doug. Lots of women get abortions just because they don't want to interrupt their careers, because they don't want to interfere with their schooling, because they don't want to hassle with a special needs child. None of these reasons have a blessed thing to do with poverty, Doug. What answer does your constitutional law brain spin for those cases? Your argument in favor of Obama is a sham. Even if it worked, all it would do is reduce the number of abortions, possibly. Hundreds of thousands of children would still die each year for other reasons. And see, that's the gigantic philosophical error in your support for Obama. The actual real evil of abortion is never confronted by you or your argument or your friends. Your candidate will leave abortion in place as a viable option, a protected right, a sacred act between woman, doctor, and God, to quote Barack himself. In fact, he would do much more than leave abortion in the status quo. He would advance the cause of abortion by signing into law the Freedom of Choice Act. The Freedom of Choice Act would undo every law that right now, as we sit here, already reduces the number of abortions. Laws like parental notice requirements, waiting requirements, etc. This is why you are out of order, Professor, with your support for Obama. You say you favor his election because he will enact policies that will reduce, maybe, the number of abortions. But he's promised that his first action will be to sign into law the Freedom of Choice Act, otherwise known as FOCA, which will increase the number of abortions. When the topic came up last night, you had quite the nifty response.
He does support the Freedom of Choice Act, which is one of the boneheaded things that he does in terms of this issue, and I've told him as such.
Well, I'm glad you told him as such. He clearly respects your opinion. As to your use of the word boneheaded, what an insulting expression. His support of FOCA is evil because it's designed to increase the number of dead children. Boneheaded? Boneheaded is leaving your keys in the car. Supporting Obama and hypnotizing yourself into thinking that will decrease abortions is the height of ignorance and self-delusion, not to mention, most especially, cooperating with evil. Kmiec then goes on to say that even though it's boneheaded for Obama to support FOCA, there's no need to fear. He'll never get the chance to sign it into law because Congress will never pass it. Don't worry about it. It's what he calls a non-starter. He even makes the case that Democratic Party leaders assured him FOCA would never pass Congress.
When I was at the Democratic Convention this past summer, the leaders of the Democratic Party were there to affirm in our caucus meetings that the Freedom of Choice Act is a non-starter.
Would that be the same Democratic Party leaders, Doug, who have the blood of millions of babies on their hands, the same ones you fought against for years? And would this be the same Democratic Party leaders who said during the summer that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were totally sound and there was nothing to worry about in the mortgage industry? Come on, Doug, seriously. You smoking something? I mean, you do live in California after all. Holding up assurances from child killers is like Neville Chamberlain saying he has a personal assurance from Hitler that there will be no war. The reason it hasn't passed out of Congress before is because Congress didn't have enough liberal baby-killing votes to pass it. They will after January. And even if they did have the votes in the past, they didn't have a president who would sign it. They hope to after January, and he hopes to sign it. There's nothing standing in the way of FOCA becoming law if Obama and his socialist landslide prevail, like the polls keep screaming they will. And you, Doug Kmiec, will have been part of that landslide that brings them into power. But trying to distance himself from FOCA even more and allowing for the possibility that it will pass a wild-eyed socialist Congress and president, he says, in his opinion, it's unconstitutional and would be struck down in the courts. Still at it with the wacky tobacco, Doug? Obama is going to be appointing pro-abortion judges to the courts. Exactly what pro-abortion judge do you know that's going to strike down a pro-abortion law? But even more to the point, Obama believes in FOCA, and in the end, that's all that matters. He's the guy that's going to be president. He believes Congress will pass it, at which point he'll sign it. And he doesn't think the courts are going to jettison it, especially since he's the one appointing the judges in the courts. Since Doug brought up the word, it's only fair to end with it. Boneheaded does indeed apply, but it applies to Doug Kmiec's self-hypnotic trance or drug haze, trying to rationalize Catholic support for an avowed supporter of abortion rights. Put down the law book, Doug, and the drug paraphernalia, Doug, and join the fight. I'm Michael Voris.